After going through this video, there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention. There's quite a bit of missing information on actually taking the transmission out, at least specific to the car. There's a couple of parts that I didn't mention. I didn't go into super detail on everything like I did with the shift kit. I kind of just went through my process of taking the transmission out and talking about the problems that I had. I will put some links into the description with some more information and possibly better videos on actually taking the transmission out. This one is just my process, and the next video it'll be a lot better. I will be putting the transmission back into the car and taking it out for a test drive. So I'm definitely a lot more excited for that, but for now, this is just my process of taking the transmission out of my 1991 Lexus LS400. If you saw my last video, you might now know that there's another problem with my Lexus and that I'm going to have to dig a lot deeper than I did last time to fix it. From the research that I've done, it looks like that I have blown the seal on my oil pump inside my transmission. I started piston fluid all over the place, but from what I can tell, I do not think that there is any internal damage done to the transmission, and it should still be okay. When we parked it last, there was still fluid on the dipstick, so I don't think anything mechanically is wrong with it besides losing that seal. But just in case the oil pump is weak or starting to go out, I bought a new oil pump, I brought a new front main seal, and I got a new seal for that oil pump as well, and I'm going to try to find a way to actually stick it in there better. As much as I didn't want this video to be informational as the last one, I think it's going to be. I'm going to be tearing into the transmission, taking apart the torque converter to get to the oil pump, and replacing the oil pump along with a couple different seals. So I guess we're gonna have to get right into it. For now, I need to clean up the shop. It is a wreck in here, especially from the last projects that have been done. I just haven't cleaned up. I need to clean up the shop. I need to get the car up onto all fours. I'm probably gonna start clearing out some stuff around the transmission. Pretty much just some work that I can get done for now until I actually need to take the transmission out. One thing I'm super excited about that I got for Christmas is this low profile long reach jack. When I lower my car back down during the winter, I'm going to need it, and I'm really glad I got it. I was gonna end up having to buy one anyway, but I'm glad I don't have to anymore. It looks super sleek, and it's a lot nicer than any of the other jacks that I have. Moving on from that, here are some of the parts I have. This is the rear main seal, I believe. I don't think it's the seal for this. Yeah, there's no way. And then this is the oil pump. That's actually for the transmission. I'm 95% sure this is the correct part. From reading the reviews, it looks like the only problem I might end up having is that it's dry inside of there, but I'll just take it apart and lube it up and make sure that there's no grinding when I actually start the car up. Seems quality, seems like it should be the correct part, but we'll actually find out when I take apart the transmission. I'm really starting to miss this car. I haven't driven it in a couple of weeks now, especially with putting in that shift kit. It's been quite a while. I miss it a lot, but I guess you just got to do what you got to do. That's just the life of cars. You play the game, you win stupid prizes. Since it is currently negative 25 degrees outside in Montana, I find it really hard to get motivation to actually go out into the shop and work on my car. But I'm finally getting out there today for one day out of this weekend. Yesterday I couldn't even get the diesel heater started, but I was able to today. And turns out tools are still cold even if the air is warm from the diesel heater. So my hands are so cold inside that shop, but we'll see what I can get done today. It's just a little bit chilly here in Montana. Not really loving it. Well, I got the shop mostly cleaned up, at least enough to where we can work in it. I got all the miscellaneous tools put away, and then I swept up, but the piles are still here. Probably gonna clean out from underneath the car because there's piss and transmission fluid everywhere. Got it all up on fours. Those heavy duty jacks right there, I didn't like the way they sat on the front. The actual U, the two sides of the U on the jack were making contact before the bottom right here. And I didn't really like that, at least on the pinch weld. So I put that here instead. I'm not too worried about it. The car's kind of tilted up like that, so I might end up changing that later on before I actually start taking the transmission out. But it's all up on fours for now, and I think that's more sturdy than a jack anyways. And we should be able to start getting to work now. I just now got home from work, but while it was on my mind, I did a little bit more research last night, and I wanted to talk about some things to go through when actually taking out your transmission in your Lexus LS400. Last night I was taking clips talking about what I think I needed to take out in order to take out the transmission, but I did some more research and I found out what I actually need to take out, and also that how to get the top bell housing bolts. I know there's a couple other videos out there and people talking about it, but I wanted to talk about it in my video too. There's a couple of things that you really do need to focus on taking out of your car before you can actually take out your transmission, at least to the Lexus LS400. And for one, that is the exhaust. And this is the mid pipe. There's still the tailpipe, and it's still connected to the headers up on the engine. That out right now. This is that here, and you got to take out the O2 sensors, which are on the sides there. Not too big of a deal, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, especially to get these top two bolts here and here, but I just got an extension on there and I was able to get them out. I do live in Montana, so there isn't really any rust, but it wasn't too terrible. Then you need to disconnect your drive shaft from your differential side and to the transmission. There's a couple things you'll need to take out in order to get that off. There's a heat shield going right below it. There is a cross member at the end of the drive shaft. I'll take a video when I get down there of it, and take that completely out. It'll make it a lot easier to take your transmission out. Next, there's shift linkage connected to the transmission. You need to disconnect that. It'll be going down from the shifter down, and there's kind of a rod going down. I'll take a video of that as well. The next thing you'll need to take out is your inspection plate going onto your transmission. You'll see it where it connects to the engine and the transmission. Take off the inspection plate and you'll have to rotate your engine and take off the flywheel or the flex plate bolts connected to the torque converter, and that'll make it so it's a lot easier to actually disconnect your transmission. Otherwise it'll try to stay stuck. Once you get done with that, then you can finally take off the cross member brace going underneath the transmission. This kind of holds it up into place and has kind of a big rubber bushing connected to it. Once you disconnect that, your transmission will droop quite a bit, and that'll help you also get to the top of the bell housing bolts. Once you've disconnected all your lines and all your connectors going into your transmission, you can now let your engine droop completely. Or not your engine, your transmission, my fault. Once you do that, you'll be able to access all the bell housing bolts. Make sure that you have your car jacked up enough. I might have mine not enough up. From the video I've seen, he had it 2 feet off of the ground so he could actually get his transmission out. But once you'll be able to reach the bell housing bolts with a bunch of extensions. Just sneak your way up into there while the engine is tilting down. It'll be kind of a tight squeeze, but you should be able to get them. I'm expecting that to be the hardest part of this, but we'll see how it goes and how smooth everything goes. I'm hoping it goes really well. Again, I'll have clips overlaying everything that I was talking about, actually recording the drive shaft. I already have the exhaust on the floor, so I won't be able to record that again, and also all the connectors and drooping the transmission itself. So hopefully it's not too big of a deal and I can make it clear enough to everybody. So I bought an oil testing kit from Blackstone Labs, and I'm going to be sending it off to get it tested for any heavy metals or extra wear and tear somewhere in the transmission. They can test for all of that, and I kind of wanted to do it just for curiosity's sake, and just in case something actually went wrong inside of my transmission after blowing a seal. I don't think anything did, but again, for curiosity and YouTube's sake, I sent one off. I have my sample right here, and I should get it back in about the next week and see what's going on inside my transmission. And if I do have a big problem, then I know that I don't want to run that transmission back into my car. So I'm curious to see what's going on. All right, we got everything completely cleared out of the car. Exhaust, heat shields, drive shaft, some more brackets, and there's the inspection plate over there. We are ready to start taking the bell housing bolts once we get the flex plate bolts off and take this transmission out. This will be my first transmission pull that I've ever done in my life, but everything is completely cleared out. He got the drive shaft bolts out and then I got that loosened. It didn't really actually pull off right there. I think that line will come out though. And then I got a couple more connectors to take out once I actually tilt the transmission down, and we should be good to go. Okay. All right, we got the engine tilted back. You can kind of see there's a little bit more separation. Looks like it's touching the firewall back there. I really hope it's not hurting anything like the EGR pipe possibly. And then down here, you can see that it is resting right there on there. So it is about as tilted as we can go, and we still don't have a huge amount of room, but we should be able to squeeze an extension and ratchet get those top two bolts. The biggest problem right now that we're running to is getting these connectors off. I don't think we'll be able to get the top ones yet. I'm hoping that we don't pull any cables out or break any connectors, but we should be okay. All right, transmission is completely taken out. What a pain in the ass. That's small for a transmission though. I mean, I've never taken a transmission out of a car, but this thing is tiny. And I noticed there's no splines over here, so we don't have to line anything up except for the flywheel against this torque converter. So I'm thinking putting it back in shouldn't be too big of a deal. I might end up taking it apart tonight, I'm not sure. It's definitely out. I'll probably do some inspecting underneath of there. And there's all the cables hanging off that were connected to the transmission, but yeah, we're all good to go. And this is a TV cable that ran all the way up, but she is out of the car. All right, transmission is completely taken out. And this is what it looks like from underneath the car. Pretty sweet. I'm excited to see what's all going on. I just really hope there was no internal damage. I don't think there is. I'm sure we'll be all right, but transmission is out anyways, and that needed to happen regardless of if the transmission's good. So we took the bell housing off so we can take out the oil pump, and it's a little bit different than the one I bought. Like, you can see this gear is sticking out quite a bit farther. I mean, there's that one that's going through it. I'll go through it on this one as well. But to me, it kind of looks like, yeah, it's definitely longer. And I'm not sure if I want to install the new one back in there, and if I should just replace the seal here and assume that this one's still good, or at least open it up and take a look and see if it is still good, because it might not have any problems, and it might cause more problems installing this new one versus just keeping this old one in there. So I took off the oil pump, but the transmission was laying flat and on its side, and some of these pieces like kind of came loose, at least whatever this is behind the oil pump. I have the oil pump right here, and it was not sitting flush with that right there. Now I think I pretty well got it. At least I really, really hope so. It took us like 45 minutes to get it back in place. But anyways, here's the oil pump, and there's a couple of different seals that we will be replacing. There's two seals back here right there. There's this O-ring going around the outside, and there's this main seal right there. It doesn't really, just from first glance, look like there's a major amount of damage to them, but if you look closer in some pieces right there, you can see it's chipped out right there, and around the O-ring on the oil pump there's a lot of flat and dry spots, and the entire thing is very, very hard. So even though there isn't anything major, from what I've learned, at least from talking to different people, is that even just a small minor leak like that with that much pressure going through the transmission, it can cause the massive leak that I had going on. Just small amount of damage like that will piss fluid all over the place. At least that's what I've been told. So I'm going to replace all the seals and still assume that that is the problem. When I first took it apart, I was pretty concerned not seeing any major damage, like anything, whoa, like in your face, but I think we're all right. I think that was the problem, and replacing the seals should fix everything that I got going on. I was planning on making this all one big part, but I don't want to have another 28-minute long video, so I'm going to split taking out the transmission, replacing the seals, and putting the transmission back in into two different parts. Now that I have the transmission out, I'm going to cut it off here, and then in the next video I'll be replacing all of the seals, putting the transmission back in, and also going for a test drive. So that one should definitely be a lot better, but I don't want to make another 28-minute long video like I did last time. I think it's just a little bit too long. So tune in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully I'll have the transmission back in and the car running and driving. I'm super, super excited for that, but for now I'm going to end the video here. Peace out.